but if I don't say yes to my boss all the time, my boss is going to think that I'm lazy or that I'm a complainer. But it's often the opposite is true. There are literally thousands of hours of information on how to have a work-life balance. But here are our 3 hot tips on how to have work-life balance, engineering style. We're Carly and James Hopgood. We're both professional engineers, and we spent a few decades figuring this one out.
Our first tip is to find out ultimately what type of career path you want. Engineering has got a lot of different options available to you. You might ultimately maybe want to get into management. In that management sphere, you might be dealing with relationship management rather than the technical. Or you might want to become a technical guru of some sort and possibly get quite specialized into one area.
Because if you tend to focus on the technical, you do have to specialize in those areas. So you can't be a technical specialist in everything. So you've
A
got to
jack
figure
of all
out
trades.
where you
No.
want to go.
Mm. Or maybe you want to be a team leader and be in charge of technical people or prioritizing and organizing that team to function at its best. Now, you might want to go back a few times in your career and revisit these things because what you want in your 20s might not be the same as what you want in the 30s and might not be what you want in your 40s.
The idea is that you be a little bit more strategic about the projects that you do and the way that you do them. But what's an example of that?
Well, one of the things that you could do, say if you wanted to go down the management path and you're a grad, you're crunching data in a spreadsheet, think to yourself, how could I present this to the client? How am I going to take ownership for this? What if I was sitting on in their side of the table? How would they want to see this? What value can I add to this that is going to be of benefit to them?
And also make your boss look better, etc. That is
Exactly.
also going to help your progression rather than just
Just jumping into the
jumping in
next
next
lot.
project. Yeah.
Yep.
So the first tip is to know what career path you want, do the research in the career path and the direction of how to get there, and then to be really strategic about the work that you choose to do and how you deliver the work that you're already doing. Which brings us to our second tip. Hot tip number 2. You know where you're going and some strategic steps you're going to have to take to get there. The different types of projects and the different types of work that you're going to have to do to go through that career path without having to work 50 and 60-hour weeks. But now comes the tricky bit. How do you actually get those projects and that type of work? I can hear you say, but my boss keeps giving me all this crap work and bad projects. What do I do? And the answer is you have to have a tricky conversation with your boss sometimes. The next time he's giving you some, or she is giving you some work that you don't particularly want to be doing, it might be a case of having a conversation with them and saying, hey, if I do this new piece of work, then I actually have to drop this more strategic piece of work that's helping us manage this other risk. And so people's objection to doing that usually is that they say, but if I don't say yes to my boss all the time, my boss is going to think that I'm lazy or that I'm a complainer. But it's often the opposite is true. I know when I've been a boss, I've always appreciated it when a staff member has come to me and said, hey, if I'm going to take on this new project, I'm actually going to be dropping this other task that I regularly do that is quite important. And that makes me feel uncomfortable. And so then that person and I can sit and figure out, well, which piece of work is more important? Which priority is more important? And I don't view that person as a lazy person. I view that staff member as a proactive person who is wanting to add value in the best possible way rather than burning out.
So tip 3 is in order to not burn out in your work and what you're doing and trying to advance your career and being able to give it your all, you need to have a life outside of work. You need to have things like go and play squash or guitar lessons, outside extracurricular activities.
Ways of catching up with friends.
So you have that excuse to leave. Because if you haven't got
A reason
to leave work and you're stuck in there, then it's really hard to say no. And it's really easy to work those extra 10 hours just to basically because you've got nothing else.
If you end up just leaving on time every day, won't people end up thinking you're a clock watcher?
The answer is no. There might be some people in the old ways of thinking that might see it that way.
That care about the bums on seats.
Exactly. But if you're hitting your targets, if you're adding value, then management stuff are going to love you. In fact, what I've discovered in the last decade from myself going home on time is that I'm fully recharged, and I think management appreciate that. The fact that I come to work, I am charged up, I'm ready to go, and I haven't burnt out. I am constantly adding value for them. And this is evidenced by the fact that through my career, been offered good jobs, good projects to work on. So don't believe that inner voice when it tells you that, hey, if you leave at 5 o'clock, your boss is going to think very little of you. Quite often, it will be the opposite. You will be charged up. You will be ready to go.
Those are our 3 hot tips for how to make sure you can have a great career and work-life balance without burning out or working 50, 60-hour weeks. We've got a lot more ideas, a lot more tips and tricks and things that we've learnt over the last few decades as professional engineers. And we've got so many things that we want to be able to share, and so many things that we've learnt that we've built a course so that we can share them with you. If you're watching this in January 2023, we have a pre-launch sale on, and you can get the course for half price. So the description's in the link below. And we would love to be able to share it with you. So come join us today.